Broken Hungry.
Okay, welcome to the Texas start of the set. So. Oh, thank you. Cheers, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Before we start the next set, I was going to mention this this instrument here. This is the old Cigar Box Guitar. So back in the day, they actually used to, when people couldn't afford guitars, they'd make guitars basically out of anything they could find. So cigar boxes, gasoline cans, all sorts of things like that. And so basically the idea of the cigar box was it kind of had the 3 strings on there, and you can basically just play it with slide. So, let's give a quick demo. Pretty full sound, and it's open tuned to an open G. We'll talk about open tunings after at the end of the set. But basically, you could kind of create a blues with just those 3 strings, basically. And so if you couldn't afford a guitar, you could kind of make one, and this is what basically people used to do. So there's a classic story of Robert Johnson, one of the great Mississippi blues players, and he basically couldn't afford a guitar, so he actually made a guitar out of his house. So what he did, he got chicken wire and basically he just strung it up on, or nailed it to this house. So imagine this is the house, and used the house as a resonating box, and would actually use a massive bottle and play up and down the fretboard like that. So it's kind of a way to kind of create music, and yeah. So he basically played his house. So not only did he create blues, he actually created early house music as well, which is kind of so little known fact. And this one's actually made out of I know, yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? I love it. It's so rubbish, but
That's why he tells it every year.
I love it. But it's I just love it every year. And this one's actually made of an actually Mississippi number plate. So someone waking up in Mississippi right now is going, "Where the hell's my number plate?" So it's kind of yeah, it works on a number of levels. We're gonna do a little song by Blind Lemon Jefferson. This is a song called "Broken Hungry." So Blind Lemon Jefferson was one of the great Texas blues players. Big influence on everyone. And so this song is also called Ragged and Dirty. So a lot of these tunes were basically crafted by other people under the same, or different names, but the same tune, basically. And so that it also used to happen with blues names as well. As you had Sonny Boy Williamson, Sonny Boy Williamson 2, you know, so basically you had, you know, worked okay until they actually all played at the same festival, and there was like Sonny Boy Williamson 57, Sonny Boy Williamson 73. I liked 86 actually, that was my actually favourite. Anyway, this is a song called Broken Hungry. I'm hungry, ragged and dirty too. So lately, mama, spend all night with you. Look out my window, couldn't see through my blinds. Look out my window, couldn't see through my blinds. Thought I heard my best friend coming, thought I heard my baby crying. Come and see you, honey, sit beside your door. Can come and see you, honey, sit beside your door. Won't stay too long, mama, your man will never know. Shouldn't mistreat me, honey, 'cause I'm young and wild. Shouldn't mistreat me, honey, 'cause I'm young and wild. Remember, mama, you were once a child. Say about it, Corey. Corey hold double bass. Leaving in the morning, gonna ride the plains. Leaving in the morning, gonna ride the plains. Won't stay too long, mama, you man never know. Broken, I'm hungry, ragged and dirty too. I'm hungry, ragged and dirty too. Clean off sweet mama and spend all night with you. Clean off sweet mama and spend all night with you. Clean off sweet mama and spend all night with you. Thank you. So this next song's a little song by Blind Willie Johnson. So Blind Willie Johnson was one of the very early blues players, and used to busk on the streets with his wife, and and wrote millions of really, really awesome blues songs, and influenced a lot of blues players. And so, but never actually achieved fame in his lifetime. So he basically would never have known what he actually left behind. So, and a lot of those blues players were like that. There was sort of you had kind of three generations. You had the early generation of people like Charlie Patton and Blind Willie Johnson, and Blind Lemon Jefferson, who really never knew where the music went. And then you had the second generation who recorded a guy called Alan Lomax went around and recorded songs for the Library of Congress. So he had a basically tape recorder in the back of his boot of his car, basically, and went around to this sort of jailhouses and plantations and penitentiaries and basically recorded a lot of this folk music, basically, that was around. So fortunately, he recorded all that stuff because he would never have heard of it had he not done that. So then when he recorded all that music, it all just disappeared. That people recorded the songs, and then that was it for about 30 years. And then it wasn't until these records found their way over to the UK, and they were called race records in America. So you weren't really, white people didn't really buy them, but the UK people did, and they wanted to find out where these people lived. So they went over to the UK, went over to America to find these places find these blues musicians, basically, and then so they knocked on the door and they had all these festivals lined up as well. So people like Son House and Skip James and people who've been basically working for 30 years on a plantation were suddenly in the middle of a massive concert at the Newport Jazz Festival. So it was kind of weird. Some of them didn't. Some sort of stayed behind and they just continued working. Some of them actually went out and got some fame in their lifetime, which was nice. So, and people like Skip James, who was quite ill. A lot of people they sort of found were on the hospital beds and stuff like that. And then Cream did a song called "I'm So Glad," and actually the royalties they gave Skip James actually paid for his hospital bills, and he sort of survived for another 7 years, which was nice. So so it kind of worked out all right in the end for some of them. But and then you have the third generation of people like Muddy Waters and B.B. King and people like that who actually did make some sort of fame as well, so which was nice. But the white Americans have basically sort of forgotten about their own music form. So there was a classic moment where the Rolling Stones were on the Ed Sullivan Show, and they said, Ed Sullivan said, "Where do you want to go? What do you want to see when you're in America?" And they said, "Muddy Waters," and they said, "Well, where's that?" And so it's like. So it got rediscovered eventually, which was nice. So this is so Bottleneck Johnson is one of my favourite players. So put that in your Google machine next to Monin and see what you get. But don't. But yeah, there's also a song called "Can I Keep From Crying?" And
we'd like to dedicate this song and this Texan set to some of our friends from Texas, and to Sarah B. Strong-Law, who tragically died a few weeks ago in a car accident. And so to Boone and Kiva, from all of us at the WHEATY, our hearts are with you.
Yeah, some of you might know her as Barrett House Bessie. She was an amazing roller derby player, and she was a good friend of ours. So we'll dedicate this song.
Now can I keep from crying sometimes? Can I keep from crying sometimes? Though my heart is full of sorrow, eyes full of tears, just can't keep from crying sometimes. Now Papa she first left me, I go a little while, soon it'll be all over and I journey with a smile. Fast as I get older, I think of what I told her, and I just can't keep from crying sometimes. Now I'm on the King's Highway, traveling night and day, just can't keep from crying sometimes. Now I'm on the King's Highway, traveling night and day, just can't keep from crying sometimes. Now can I keep from crying sometimes? Can I keep from crying sometimes? Though my heart is full of sorrow, eyes full of tears, just can't keep from crying sometimes. And now Papa Sheep has left me here for a little while. Soon it'll be all over now, journey with a smile. Cause as I get older, I think of what I told her, and I just can't keep from crying sometimes. Now I'm on the King's Highway, traveling night and day, just can't keep from crying sometimes. Now I'm on the King's Highway, traveling night and day, just can't keep from crying sometimes. Now I'm on the King's Highway, traveling night and day, I just can't keep from crying sometimes.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to get MT to sing this new tune.
This is not new. This is the original, actually. We all know Big Mama Thornton.
Yes, one.
Well, that's pretty
The
representative.
one with the Big Mama Thornton t-shirt on. Yeah, it's over there, yeah.
So Big Mama Thornton, she was a significant musician in the Texan blues scene of the 50s, and she really brought in the dawn of rock and roll. So she should be heralded probably not just as the queen, but as the king of rock and roll. Thank you. Yes, she wrote this song. It was a prophetic song called Hound Dog. Well, she had the song written for her, but it was her song. And I think she made 500,000 copies, and she did pretty well. And a few years later, then someone called, I think his name was Elvis. Yeah. I don't think you've heard of him. He made about 10 million copies. She never saw a cent of that. So a hound dog is colloquial. I can't say that word. Can anyone else say it?
Colloquial?
It really is not just a dog. It's a freewheeling gigolo. Someone who scrounges and hangs around for food and other conveniences, and maybe for songs, as hit songs as well, that he can milk for his benefit.
Didn't they had the chance to play it together or something, didn't they?
He turned it down. He did. Yeah.
The other thing about Elvis as well, if you ever see footage of Muddy Waters when you see him at the early days of him playing, and that kind of whole pelvic thrust thing that that Elvis is famous for was basically ripped from Muddy Waters, essentially the same dance Muddy Waters was doing, and then Elvis kind of went, yeah, I'll have a bit of that as well. So not only the music he kind of borrowed,
Yeah.
it was a dance.
Well, we all do that, but you know, his thing is he didn't actually pay it back. So, whereas Janis did, she had Big Mama open for her, and Janis brought her recognition when Janis got Ball and Chain to the wider audience. So this song is not just about, well, it's actually nothing to do with a dog or a rabbit. It's an anthem for black female power. But if you're not black or female, it's really a song about drawing the line. Here's the line. So I think we can all resonate with that. You ain't nothing but a hound dog snooping around my door. You ain't nothing but a hound dog snooping around my door. Oh, you can wag your tail, but I ain't feeding you no more. You make me feel so blue. You make me weep and moan. You make me feel so blue. You make me weep and moan. 'Cause you ain't looking for a woman, you're just looking for a home. You told me you were high class, but I can see through that. Yeah, you told me you were high class, but I can see through that. 'Cause Daddy, I know you ain't no real cool cat. 'Cause you ain't nothing but a hound dog, a snooping around my door. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, snooping around my door. Oh, you can wag your tail, but I ain't feeding you no more. Wag your tail, Corey. Oh, you ain't nothing but a hound dog, snooping around my door. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, been snooping around my door. Oh, you can wag your tail, but I ain't feeding you no more. Oh, you can wag your tail, but I ain't feeding you no more. Oh, you can wag your tail, but I ain't feeding you no more. Thank you, and thank you, Big Mama Thornton, for giving us that song.
Wow, time flies, doesn't it?
We thought we were talking too much initially, so we thought we'd skip this song, but it might be a chance to do it. You can hear the guitar box.
So yeah, so as I mentioned before about the cigar box, it's kind of like, it's that kind of homemade instrument sound, and it's it's quite unique. And it's actually an open G tuning. So the idea of an open tuning basically was that the instrument was tuned so that you can actually play a chord with just one, with no fingers basically. So that's a G chord. So you can actually basically play a blues with just one chord. So some of these blues songs were like Spoonful. It was basically just that one chord, essentially. So you can basically play that, but also they worked out that if you put your finger across the 5th fret, you could get the 4th chord, which in this case is C, and then you also have D as well. So you basically can actually play the 1, 4, 5, which is what blues is all about, basically. So it also meant that people could play guitar in groups. So if we all had like cigar boxes made out of old instruments, we could play music. So and in those days, it means you only really needed one finger to actually play blues. So if you lost all your other fingers in some train accident or something, you could slap your stump over the 5th fret and the 7th fret and actually play blues, which is nice. So yeah, and this is Slide. So we'll talk about Slide in the next song. So this is a little song by Lightning Hopkins, one of my favorite Texas blues players. And this is a little song, little gospel song. So so blues kind of tread the line between gospel and also secular music and gospel music, basically. And some people kind of really had struggles between the two. So you had Reverend Gary Davis, and then it was Gary Davis, and then it was Reverend Gary Davis, and then it was Gary Davis. So he kept kind of swapping between a preacher and a blues player. So it's so this is a little song called Needed Time. This is the Lightning Hopkins tune. So.
Now is the needed time. 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 Jesus, won't you come by here? Jesus, won't you come by here? Jesus, won't you come by here? Now is the needed time. Now is the needed time. Now is the needed time. Come if you don't stay long. Come if you don't stay long. Come if you don't stay long. Now is the needed time. Now is the needed time. Now is the needed time. Paying for you to come back here, paying for you to come back here, paying for you to come back here. Now is the needed time, now is the needed time, now is the needed time. And praying, down on my knees and praying, down on my knees and praying. Now is the needed time, now is the needed time, now is the needed time. Now is the needed time, now is the needed time, now is the needed time. Now is the needed time, now is the needed time, now is the needed time. 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 Now is the needed time.
Okay, so this is the last song of the whole set. So thank you so much for coming out to see the Texas and Carolina Blues. We fully appreciate it. You've been actually the best audience. You know, we always think that people say you're the best audience. You are the best audience, actually. So thank you so much. So, yeah.
He's only saying that because you laughed at all his jokes.
Well, that's it. Actually, that's the criteria, really, as long as you tick that box. Speaking of ticking boxes, we've actually got a mailing list as well. If you want to write your name down there, we'll email you out a blues name, your official blues name. And we also do shows during the year as well, so it will also let you know when the next show is and stuff like that as well. So yeah, we try and change it up every year, basically. So. But yeah, thank you so much for being an absolute awesome audience, so thank you so much. Please give Kev a big round of applause on the sound as well. Please give Rhea a big round of applause in the door over there as well. So yeah. So we're going to finish on this last tune. This is a Lead Belly tune called Gallus Pole. So Lead Belly, if you've not heard of Lead Belly, you've heard of Big Mama Thornton. He was basically a Texas bluesman and responsible for wrote a lot of songs basically. Went to jail for about 3 times for like attempted murder. But he got released every time on the strength of his songwriting. So it was interesting. So. And he actually wrote an old album of children's songs as well. So actually, he was a really nice guy, unless he was pointing a knife at you. But yeah, really interesting character. And this song, Gallus Pole. And what I'm playing at the moment, what we're playing on this song is a slide. So you might have seen a bottleneck slide before. And what the idea is basically of the bottleneck slide is that you play on the fret markers, these metal strips across the fretboard, and you have to cut it right in the middle of the slide. So if you go slightly left, you get flat, and you go slightly right, and you get sharp. So it's actually what we call playing on the knife edge, because we try and make ourselves, or slide guitar players try and make ourselves sound cooler than what we are. But basically, it's when you hear my Doctor Who ringtone, you'll actually realise what a nerd I am. But basically, yeah, you got to get on that thing. So my slide teacher in the UK, and he would basically was very strict on getting that intonation. So he'd actually wrap you across the knuckles with a metal ruler if you got it wrong, and so the scars eventually heal, but the psychological scars never go away. But so this is, and the idea of a slide. So basically this first found it on a train station in Tutwiler, Mississippi. A guy called W.C. Handy sort of heard of some guy playing a guitar with a knife, and he liked the sound of it. But I don't think he talked to the guy because he probably would have got knifed. But he basically made that connection between the sound, but then Indian music, African music, and Hawaiian music all use slides as well. So no one really knows where it all came from, but it's pretty cool. I first heard that slide on the film called Paris, Texas. Ry Cooder doing the soundtrack for it, and and so this beautiful moment where this sound comes in, and it's like, oh my God, what's that? I shall dedicate my life to that sound. So this is a little song called Gallus Pole. We're going to leave you with this. Thank you so much for coming along. Corey Horton, double bass. Mary Therese on percussion. This is a locally made Donmo guitar, resonator guitar. And the idea is basically it makes it sound other than just being plugged in, so you can actually make it a bit more louder as well. The other thing as well, you used to basically, with resonator guitars, you used to reflect the light. Blues players used to reflect the light off the resonator into whoever in the audience they wanted to take home that night. So just bear that in mind when I'm flashing that around. So hello, But the only problem is our crowd's all full of bearded men. So basically that's all I end up in the next morning. So. That's how I met Corey actually. So.
Mom bring some silver, Mom bring some gold. Mom bring me everything, keeping gallows pole. Pop bring some silver, Pop bring some gold. Pop bring me everything, keeping gallows pole. What did you? Yeah. What did you? Yeah. Hangman, go many a mile, keep me running down the line. Oh, hangman, go many a mile, keep me running down the line. Oh, you bring me keeping gallows pole. keep me running down the lane. Oh, hangman, hangman, go many a mile, keep me running down the lane. Oh, bring me, keep the gallows cold. Son, to buy some whiskey, son, to buy some gold, son, to buy you everything, even gallows bold. Pop, bring some whiskey, pop, bring some gold, pop, bring me everything, even gallows bold. What did you? Yeah. You bring me, keep the gallows bold. You bring me, keep the gallows bold. You bring me, keep the gallows bold. Thank you very much. Cheers. We'll see you later on. Thank you so much. Thank you.